Welcome back to your fifth and final lesson in Tracy's Kenpo Karate Yellow Belt. Congratulations on making it this far. You're almost done and you'll be ready to test after you practice for a few weeks with these 10 techniques. So let's get started. Okay, we're going to go over your last two techniques, which is Kenpo Shield, A and B, and Evasion. But before we do that, let's kind of review the previous 8 techniques. Let's just do a quick review with this. Let's start with Japanese Sword. A is for a right punch. Remember, extended outward block, pivot to soft bow, chop the neck with your left hand in check. B version is for a left punch. You do your extended outward block, punches in the way of the throat, so we do a reverse punch to the ribs of the body. Then back to your fighting stance. Then you have your second technique of Chinese Sword. You're going to step in with your inward block, figure 8 motion, bring it up and down, back into soft bow, hand comes into chamber as you go to a left hand check. B version is for a left punch. We're going to start off the same way, but we realize it's a left and not a right, so the throat there again is covered up, so we're going to throw a back fist to the face. Then your third technique is Delayed Sword. Draw a cat, because you don't have enough room to step back or forward. Throw a front snap kick to the groin, doubling them over. Using your drop of body weight, you're going to do a sword hand to the throat or the side of the neck, draw into chamber, back into your soft bow position as before. Then we have Knee of Vengeance. As they come in and push, we're going to step back and grab, knee, stomp, cradle and crutch. Then you have Feint of the Cobra, 2-hand choke. Pin the hands, step in, spear hand to the throat, claw the eyes, push forward if you wish, recheck, claw the eyes, push forward if you wish, grab the shoulders, knee the groin or solar plexus, stomp the foot, and then push them away. Then from there, we got Twisting Talon, A, straight arm wrist grab. Step back, counter grab, check with your left, draw a cat, pull them in, and into your back kick. B version, cross arm wrist grab. Same scenario, step back to about 5, counter grab, pull them in, throw your back kick to the body. Then we have your ones you learned in your last lesson, which is Returning Dragon. So you can clear, or chop or grab depending on the variation you're using. Pivot, back kick, back down, side thrust kick for the version that I teach. And then from there we have Breaking the Sword. Handshake. We're going to come up, slap the hands, push the fingers, shove them back as we step in, swing our right foot around to about the 10-30 position, break the arms over the shoulders, elbow and reverse. That brings us to our last two techniques, which is Kenpo Shield and Knee of Vengeance. Kenpo Shield A and B. So Kenpo Shield A, this time we're going to use an upwards block, so as a right punch comes in, and this will work for right or left, it doesn't really matter, nothing's going to change with the technique other than your targeting. So as the punch comes in, we're going to do an upwards block, making sure we cross the body, and up and over and away, so we're pushing the arm up and away from it, and we're throwing a reverse punch somewhere down the center line of the body, between the face and the groin. Now when I teach this technique, I recommend that students do not punch directly into the mouth, because this way their knuckles might get cut if they do so. So I always suggest go to a more safer targeting, such as the solar plexus or groin, and only strike the face if you're going to the either side of the jaw. So when we do in Kenpo Shield, as the punch comes in, you want to get up underneath it, okay? Instead of standing right in front of it like this, where if you miss, you're going to get hit. Remember, one of the first rules of Kenpo is when a strike or a weapon or anything comes at you, you want to get out of the point of contact. And so far we've done that by either going to the outside, like Chinese Sword, or we've gone to the inside, like Japanese Sword. In this case, we're going to come from underneath. So we're going to drop underneath the punch, like this. Upwards block. Now, whether you step in or step back, there again, in this technique, it's irrelevant. All that matters is that you have enough room to throw the punch. If you need to step in to do that, then do so. If it's better due to your size to step back, same thing. And it also can depend on the situation. How fast are they coming in? Sometimes they may come in so fast you have to step back to lose a little bit of distance. And other times it may be like a little slower of a punch where you're actually prepared for it to come. And in that case you may want to step in and get them as they're coming in on you. So again, on Kenpo Shield A, upwards block, into your fighting stance, get the hand up and away, make sure you're under the punch and off to the side of it. Throw a reverse punch as your left hand goes to check, and then back to your fighting stance in case you need to follow up with further techniques. Okay, again, Kenpo Shield A. Step in, up and over, reverse punch, back to stance. Okay, from this angle here. It's a really simple technique. Almost every style has it. It's kind of like Japanese sword B. It's a very common technique among martial artists. Almost every system has a variation of it. They may call it something different and it might be done slightly different, but all the concept is the same. Upward block, reverse punch. So as they come in, we're going to get up underneath it, get the hand up and away. We don't want to leave the arm here. Okay, because we don't want that punch just sitting right here. And we don't use an upwards block either for a weapon. Okay, so a lot of styles, if they come in with an overhead club, they may have you do an upwards block. But we don't use it for a weapon the way we teach it, because the stick could just continue on and hit you in the head. So we want to make sure you only use this for a punch, not a defense against a weapon. So you come up and over. Now the punch should be right here. Okay, so if you have an opponent, the punch should be grazing past your head at this point. And then from here, from your fighting stance, your hand is in chamber. Make sure your hand is rolling over properly as you go to your hard bow. Reverse punch down the center line. I would recommend either the solar plexus or the groin in this case. Okay, let's do it going forward just to show you there's no difference whether you step forward or back. The only thing that changes is the distance between you and your opponent, and you are going to have to determine at that split second what is best fit for you. Now if you practice this a lot, either in a dojo or with maybe a partner at home, you'll find what best works for you, for your size and your ability. Okay, again, technique calls for you to step forward, but you can easily just step back, reverse punch, and back. Okay? Again, from this angle, up Kenpo Shield A, upwards and over, reverse punch, and back to your stance in case you need to follow up with the technique. Now, Kenpo Shield B. Kenpo Shield B is one of my favorite techniques in Yellow Belt other than Knee of Vengeance. And I use Kenpo Shield B more than I do any probably other technique other than Windmill Guard. Those are my two go-to techniques for when you're just totally caught off guard. This is what I kind of call my old crap or old shit move. Because as they come in, you're just going to duck underneath it, and you're going to be in so tight that you can't throw a reverse punch because you've just got this much room to work with. So we're going to use what they call an inverted punch. Now this isn't an uppercut. An uppercut leaves the body and goes up into the chin like this. We're going to stay right here. The elbow barely will leave your rib cage. So as you come in, and you're going to do upper block, you're going to drive your hips up and into a soft bow as you throw that inverted punch, leaving this hand in check, right by your head at all times. Don't drop it because you got that hand. You're hanging on, kind of checking that hand at this point. So the B version is one, inverted, and back. Just a quick inverted punch. Now, most of the time you'll probably end up stepping forward for this one because of the type of strike it is. But then again, if the guy's coming really fast on you, you may want to step back and then throw that punch. Most likely we'll go to the rib cage or the solar plexus. Okay, so Kenpo Shield B, step in, inverted punch as your hand covers into check. You want to drive those hips up and into a soft bow. We're not just going straight, we want to drive up into it and drive up into those ribs. Okay, the B version again, up into the ribs. Okay, from this angle, the punch comes in. We're going to get underneath it this time and out of the point of contact that way. Then we're going to drive up and into the rib cage. So elbow doesn't really leave the ribs, just stays right there. We're going to use our hip power to drive it up. Okay, this angle here, same thing, up and over, just like that. Now, like I said, it doesn't matter if it's a right or a left punch. If they throw a right punch, this would be a solar plex strike. If this is a left punch, it'll be more of a rib cage strike. So you got Kenpo Shield A, up, reverse punch, and back to stance because you got plenty of room to throw that punch. The B version is more of your what if. What if you don't have the room to throw a reverse punch? And this is where we introduce you to the inverted punch. This is the first time at this point that you've learned the inverted punch. Okay, so B is up and in, just like that. See how it works with my hip? And I drive my hip up as this goes up. Give me the power I need to really get up in and damage those rib cages. From this angle, upwards block, reverse punch is A. B, upwards block, inverted punch, because you don't have the room to do a complete reverse punch. Okay, from here, upwards block, A, reverse punch, back to stance. B, upwards block, inverted punch, hand remains in check. You check that hand as you throw the punch. And that's Kenpo Shield A and B. A very simple technique. It's used in all the systems. The last and final technique is your first weapons defense. And this is an overhead club attack. And in this case, you got a club coming overhead like this. So the first thing we want to do is with any weapon is get out of the point of the contact of the weapon. And we want to try to catch it on its downward motion here. So as the punch comes, or as the strike comes down, we're going to get out of the way, step into about 10-30 at first, and as you get better, maybe move closer to 11. And then we want to step just to line up with their leg, and then throw a side thrust kick to break the leg out. Okay, again, crossbody parry is the way I teach it. Bring up, side thrust, and back. Now, even though it's not required in Tracy's Kenpo, I do ask students to do this both power side, weak side. It's not really a mandatory thing for a student to have to be able to do it to pass their test. It's just something they need to start working on, especially with a weapon, is learning to sidestep it and doing it weak side. So I usually have an A and a B when I teach this. Mainly it's A is power side, B is weak side. But that's totally up to you and which you want to do and how your instructor wants to deal with that part. So again, overhead club. 1, bring the knee straight up for a side thrust kick. So the knee is pointed straight ahead and drive straight down and back up. Side thrust kick, just imagine stomping a can with that kick. So we step out of the way of the club. This way if we miss the block, the club is still going past us. Knee comes up, break, back to stance, and then be ready to continue on if you need to. So you now have all 10 self-defense techniques for Tracy's Kenpo. Now what does this mean? Now this means that now you need to practice those 10 techniques, plus you need to practice the blocks that you can find in basics, which consist of your inward, outward, upwards, and downwards, because you'll be tested on those. And you'll also be tested on kicks, such as front snap kick, back kick, side thrust kick, and then you've got your roundhouse kick, your crossing back kick, and your spinning back kick. Those should all be found in your basics video for testing. Now if you wish to test through me, that is fine as well. All you need to do is demonstrate each of the 10 self-defense techniques in the air on video and then send it to me. I do ask, if you can at all possible, has to do the techniques on a person. They don't have to be full speed, but this way I can see that you have the basic concept of what the technique is supposed to be used for. So you have all 10 self-defense techniques. So let's go through all 10 of them one more time to make sure you're on the right track for getting ready for your test. There again, you have Japanese sword A for a right punch. Clear, chop, all done with the right hand. Japanese sword B for a left punch. Step in, you realize you can't do it, reverse the punch. Sticking with our sword concept, we have Chinese sword. Right punch, inward block, full circle, figure 8, chop the neck, draw to soft bow, hand in chamber, left hand in check. B version is for a back fist. We've thrown our inward block, we realize that's a left and not a right, so we throw a back fist to the temple of the face. And then the third and final sword technique in yellow belt is your delayed sword. There again, this is where you don't have enough room to step back or enough room to step forward to do a Chinese sword style technique. So you're going to step back into a cat with 90% on the back, 10% on the front. Inward block, hand in check, front snap kick the groin. Your opponent will double over. As they do so, you're going to land into a chop to the collarbone or neck, drawing into chamber, back into soft bow, so that you can continue on with more of a technique if you need to, if that didn't work. From there, you have knee of vengeance. So when it comes to grab, which we know they're going to most likely push, so we're going to step back, counter grab, knee, stomp the foot, going into our Jerry Lewis stance, grab the head, cradle and crush. We have feint of the cobra, which is for a two-hand choke. So as they choke, we're going to pin the hands or check the hands, not really pin them. We just want to make sure we know where they're at all times. Spear hand in the throat, claw the eyes or clear, check, claw the eyes, grab, knee, stomp the foot, and throw them away. Then we have twisting talon, which is your first grab move. For a wrist grab, they grab straight on an A. We step back in case they throw a punch. We want to be out of the point of contact. We want to counter grab. We want to pull them in and down to get all that weight on the forward leg, and back kick. B version, same thing, but now it's a cross arm grab. We do the exact same technique we did before, but we're going to step more to the 5 o'clock position, counter grab, hand is in check, draw the cat, pull in and down to pull them into that back kick. There again, get them off balance. We have returning dragon, and as I taught you in the previous videos, returning dragon can be done in one of 3 ways. We have the traditional Tracy version, which is step out, grab the arm or shoulder, pivot, back kick, set down, back kick the knee. Then they have the way that I teach it, which is clear the arms, grab the shoulders, pivot, back kick down, side thrust kick, and back down. Then you have the variation of this technique, which you can use if you're testing through me. I will more than well accept it. Is you clear the arms. Since we've already got this set up, we're going to chop or hammer fist the neck or face. Grab the shoulders at that point, pivot, back kick, put the foot back down, side thrust kick to break the knee out. Then from there we have breaking the sword. Handshake. There again, we're not breaking their arm because they're shaking our hand. We're breaking it because it's more of a sucker punch situation, just like any of the grabs we have taught. So we want to get that punch neutralized and then prevent them from countering any technique or defense we plan on doing. So we're going to bring the hand up using the web of the hand, pushing the fingers back as we step in, swing around, and break. And then if you remember right, I showed you the way Tracy does it, which is basically the handshake. They just swing the arm up, using that for the block, but it doesn't really take the party off balance, and they swing around, break, reverse punch, or elbow to the ribs in that case. And then from there, that was breaking the sword. Then we have the 2 techniques we just learned, which are really simple techniques, just 1-2 moves with Kenpo Shield. A being for a right punch. So we're going to do an uppercut, reverse punch, but this will also work for a left punch. Nothing changes. Then you have the B version, upwards block, not an upward cut, but an upwards block. Bring the hand up and away. Inverted punch to the rib cage or solar plexus, depending on left or right, as you go to a soft bow and back to stance, leaving this hand in check so that you know where that hand is at all times. So I'll repeat this one more time since you've just learned it. Upwards A for Kenpo Shield A. So we're going to do it upwards, bring it up and away, reverse punch, and back to stance. Okay, the B version, this is when you're kind of jammed up. You're going to do an inverted punch. This is not an uppercut, because remember, an uppercut's going to come up and away from the body. This stays right here, real close and tight, really quick, in and out. Okay, so B, 1, 2. Then you have the 10th and final technique, which is an overhead club attack. As the club comes in, we're going to get out of the point of contact because we don't want to be standing here with a parry or any other block and miss and have that club hit us instead. So as the club comes in, we're going to use a crossbody parry, bring our knee up, line it up with whatever knee we're going to be kicking, side thrust kick, and step back down, and can be ready to continue on with further techniques. So that's all 10 self-defense techniques for yellow belt. You just need to practice those along with your blocks and kicks, and then you'll be ready to test. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to send them to me, and I'll be happy to answer them. And I wish you the best of luck with yellow belt, and I hope to see you in your yellow belt test soon. All the best.